All right, we are just going to do a quick overview of the 2023 Elite Omnia. This is their new flagship aluminum hunting model. They do have a carbon model, the Elite Era, that has the same cam system as this Omnia. Now I'm going to go over, I've had a little bit of time to play with it now. I'll go over my setup that I'm going to be using going into 2023 and probably 2024. I don't plan on changing from this bow. And some of the things that I've noticed that are different from my previous bow, which was the option 7. I am a left-handed shooter. I'm shooting this bow at 65 pounds. It comes in right around 67-ish right now. And I'm shooting it with, I initially was shooting it at about 84.5% let off. I'm shooting it closer to the 80% mark now. And I am running the Elite Omnia with the tight spot pivot 2.5 quiver. This is a two-piece quiver. It mounts right into the riser. I really like this quiver. It's super quiet. I mean, you bang on the bow, you can't hear anything with it. So I was looking to kind of go away from a detachable quiver. I never take my quiver off my bow anyways, so I was looking for something that was really going to be built into the riser and had multiple anchoring points. One thing I really like about this quiver is it does anchor right down here, and you can adjust it in and out, so you can get it closer to the string if you want. You can get it closer to the grip if you'd like. You can kind of play with it, and it'll kind of act as a counterbalance to this sidebar here. Now, while we're talking about sidebars, I'll go over my stabilizer setup. I'm using the Titanium Archery Products 11.5 or 11.75, whatever their 11-inch model is for my front stabilizer bar, with 2 ounces of weight. And I did get all of their silencing kits, which is the neoprene and the rubber washers. I put those on the end of anywhere that any metal could touch metal. So there's a washer here, there's a washer here, and there's a washer here at the riser. Same thing on my back bar. There's a washer here and a washer here as well. I am using the Bee Stinger Elite stabilizer mount. I just prefer to have the stabilizer all mounted off of one mounting bracket. If you want to use this lower stabilizer mounting hole that Elite provides for you, that's a great option too. And then obviously Elite has this new dampening system that they added this year. For my rest, I've been using this rest for a long time. It's old, but it just works for me, and I'm really comfortable with it. This is the Limb Driver Pro V Gen 1 in black. It's just tried and true for me. I've always used it, and so that's what I am using on this bow as well. For my sight, this is the Black Gold Pure 75 with a 6-inch dovetail. I do have it set back of a few inches, mostly to line up with my peep, because I am running the big dog housing. And with the big dog housing, I run a bigger peep because I like to get a lot of light into my eye. So the dovetail is really nice. I can move it in or out to match that peep diameter no matter what I'm running. And for strings, I'm running the Catfish Custom strings. Mike over there at Catfish Customs does a great job. I've been running his strings for 4 years now, somewhere around there. And I've been really loving his strings, so I just keep going back to him for strings. Now, this bow comes with cable stops and limb stops. I ran it with cable stops for a little while, and that back wall, it's good, it's solid, but I just wasn't really a fan. I couldn't fall in love with it. So what I ended up doing is actually putting the limb stops on and playing with limb stop position and the let off module to really get the feel that I was looking for in that solid back wall that I can really pull hard into. Also, I felt that the 28-inch draw, which I shot on my option 7, it felt a little bit long at 28 on this bow for me. And so adding those limb stops and kind of tweaking with the let off, I was able to really get exactly where I wanted for draw length and really feel a lot more comfortable and more stable with it. So my first probably 50 arrows through it, I wasn't super comfortable. The bow felt a little bit long and I couldn't figure out why. And then I started kind of tweaking with that let off. Elite does advertise 1/4 inch increments for your draw length adjustment on the new Omnia. I've been able to get it down to the 1/8 of an inch just by using your let-off adjustments. Now, one thing I really like about that is you can just really fine tune how you want that bow to feel in your hands and at full draw. And that's super important for me for accuracy and consistent shooting ability, especially at long distance. One thing I always do with all my slider sights is I set my sight somewhere. Since this one isn't sighted in out to 80, 90, 100 right now, I slide it down to roughly where I think 60, 70 yards is going to be, 65. And that's where I set my sight when I set my peep. That way, what a lot of people run into is when they get out to 60, 70, 80 yards, they're kind of trying to look into their peep and look down to their scope. But if you set your peep to about 60 yards, and when you go up to 20, it's not a huge adjustment. And when you get out to 80, it's not a huge adjustment. So everywhere from 20 to 80, you're still pretty much in the same realm that you were in when you set it at 60. Now, I am probably going to tweak with my peep just a little bit and move it, you know, just a skosh here or there as I continue to shoot it and figure out where I want it to be. My arrow setup is the Black Eagle Rampage 300 spine. These are cut at 27.5 inches, and I have a 120 grain Ethics archery insert with a 125 grain broadhead on there. I'm shooting the Sever 2.0 and the Sever 1.5 again this year. I shot it last year with great results. The total arrow weight with fletchings and a wrap, I'm running 3 AAE Max Stealth vanes. I use the primer pen and the Max Bond glue and a 6-inch wrap. With a standard nock, it comes in right around 525, 527 grains. If you were to put it on a calculator, it'd say 527, but 90% of my arrows are coming in at like 525. Now, I do plan on shooting lighted nocks with these, so it'll probably bump that up to right around the 540 grain range, maybe 537-ish. Not quite sure. I haven't weighed them with a lighted nock in it yet. But that is the arrow setup. It comes out to about, like I said, 525 grains, and I'm getting 259 feet per second as a 3-shot average. I made a post the other day that did say it was 258.7 feet per second average, but then I cut a little bit off my shafts and I ended up gaining a little bit of speed. So it's not a lot. It's 1 feet per second, but it is worth noting that I am getting 259 feet per second at 65 pounds with a fairly heavy arrow. One thing that I am finding a lot different from my other bow to this bow is the grip. The grip is a lot more squared off on the Omnia. It almost has like a hard edge to it. You can kind of see it right here. Here's that grip. It's kind of got a hard edge to it, which I really like, but I have noticed that you really got to get a lot of that heel pressure of your palm into that grip to get a very, very consistent result through paper. If you kind of like to float your hand off the grip like I tend to do, it's not going to be as stable for you. Versus with the option, I did kind of float the fatty part of my palm off that grip a little bit instead of like really pushing that heel into the grip. I have found that I really have to work on, you know, pushing that heel of my palm into the grip to get a very, very consistent and repeatable shot. However, when I do that, it is very, very consistent, very repeatable, and very comfortable. So that is one big thing that I noticed between the Option 7 to the Omnia. The other big thing that I did notice is the weight. Fully loaded with the same exact setup, this bow feels heavier than my Option 7. I haven't put it on a scale to actually tell how much heavier it is, but I would guess it's probably 1/4 pound heavier overall than my Option 7 was with the exact same attachments on it. Overall, I think Elite really hit it out of the park with this bow. It shoots really well. The only thing I wish is that I wish it was about 1 inch longer on ATA and maybe a 1/2 inch longer on the brace height. I do tend to prefer those 7-inch brace height bows, 6.5 to 7-inch brace height bows with a 33-inch axle to axle. However, this bow is going to be really, really sweet to shoot. this fall, especially out west. I can't wait to do some more videos on it, and once I get it set up out to 100, we'll make some videos of me shooting out to 100 with it, with broadheads. It is bare shaft tuned, and if you guys got any other questions on the Elite Omnia, one other thing we have been seeing all over Facebook and other social medias is that people are getting cable rubbing with one of these cables rubbing on the cam. I never experienced that. I didn't shim the cams either, but I never experienced it. It's not something I ran into, so I can't really speak on it, but the bow's tuned, it's shooting great, and I'm excited to shoot this bow for the rest of the year. Thanks.